be a lot less conversation and a lot more killing.
We got it. Ben. Hello, fellow Auraxians. Commander Cyrious here. Let's talk about the new player experience. This was spurred on by LIRIK recently featuring Planetside 2 on his channel, and he actually did pretty well, but we'll talk more about that soon. Planetside 2 is brutal for a new player because it's complex. If you've been here for a while, you know all its complexities, and it seems obvious that a max with an AI gun shouldn't shoot at a Sunderer from long range. But a Battle Rank 1 doesn't know that. They know they've been dying to infantry a lot, so let's try to get this big metal max thing and see what it does. Cool, we're not dying as much now, but we still haven't figured out how to kill things. And so begins their difficult journey on Auraxis. Do they survive past that dreaded rank, Battle Rank 11, where everyone seems to give up and fall away? And before I dive into this topic, I want to point out it's basically impossible to solve. Because the last thing you want to do is bore new players with a lengthy boilerplate tutorial that explains the basics of the game, but at the same time, without a lengthy tutorial that explains that a massive galaxy landing in front of you as an infantry soldier is something you should run away from rather than shoot at, brand new players are going to be so lost, it's going to be difficult for them to find a way to have fun in this game. And Asylum to the Lost and any new player out there, the answer to your question, how do I not die, is you don't. In Planetside 2, especially when you're beginning, you die a lot. Planetside 2 has a tougher problem though, because it is considered a first-person shooter. The combined arms is many times left off. And people may think because they have first-person shooter mechanics, they should do equivalently well in this game as they did in Battlefield or Call of Duty or Quake or Halo or something along those lines. And then think about all the battle royales that followed. They never really deviated from the basic FPS model that much. You can go into those games and not feel like you're at a massive disadvantage. But Planetside 2 is just a whole different beast. First of all, you got the combined arms aspect of it. In most other games, you can either hide from well enough or pull something out pretty readily that can destroy the vehicles, if they even exist. But in Planetside 2, you got Libs with Zephyrs, you got tanks with Hesh, you got ESFs with Banshees and Airhammers. Vehicles are extremely capable, especially compared to a new player, and it's very difficult to know what to do against them. Not to mention when you start, your vehicles suck, so even beyond the skill gap that exists, so pulling one to counter isn't really an option. And then we dive into infantry play. Most people expect they should be able to go out and get some kills doing what they do in other first-person shooters, which a lot of times depends on them getting the drop on someone. But you're in good old Planetside 2.
Good. Fucking, let's do Haven. No, I don't want from the ground. I want fucking.
Strong work, guys.
Nocturnal birds like owls during the night.
Ha 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 ha. Good one. I'm going to be sick. If you had any idea what you were doing, this would be a real achievement.
Planetside 2 is unfortunately a stream of dying from places you didn't know where the enemy was, or you snuck up on the enemy and somehow they juked you, or this.
Yo, this dude over here full of shit. Man, two people shooting this guy. We're both railing him with headshots, yet he killed us both. And he killed me in like 2 shots.
This was the good old someone completely convinced a very normal player was a hacker. Most players not understanding that even if they're seeing hit marks, they may only be hitting 1 of every 4 or 5 rounds they fire. And depending on the weapon you're using, or whether or not you're hitting the head, which for a new player, most likely you're not, it could take 13, 14, 15 rounds to kill someone. In most first-person shooter experiences, you get the jump on someone, even if your aim's not great, but you can dump a few rounds in their general direction, you'll get the kill. So what we're left with, a game that is interesting, it is free, so tons of people want to check it out. Over 10 million people have created accounts, but there's just really no good way to rope them into the game. Let's check in with my interview of a new player during a dance party.
So this is the first time I've ever won one of these. What happens now?
And sorry, you won't be able to hear my audio here, but on top of the very difficult combat, it's impossible for new players to understand what they're supposed to do. Like, what is the point of them fighting at any base they show up at? Are they achieving anything? Are they doing something useful? If players can't feel like they're accomplishing something, they're gonna slip away from the game. Joseph J01 here is seen at Battle Rank 10. This is in early 2019. I checked in on his stats. He came back after Escalation launched in 2020, made it to BR12, and hasn't been seen since the end of April.
Yeah, I downloaded this game like 40 minutes ago. Well, I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of annoying at first when everyone had like 1K guns that just one-shot me in the forehead.
So it's interesting because people want to get into this game. They want to like it. They hear this cool combined arms FPS. They see it's been going for 7 years. There must be something going on, that there's still a dedicated community for a game like that. But the experience is just so daunting. I think about all the MMO RPGs that I want to check out, and just thinking about how far behind I am is enough to make me say, I don't think it's worth it. Planetside 2 has the bonus that you're really not behind. You get to start, and you are on a level playing field with everyone. No, you don't have the vehicle bells and whistles, and no, you don't have the implant bells and whistles, but you're still a lot further than if you have to grind to battle rank 110. But there's more to it than just the grind that'll keep people away. So trying to craft a new player experience has to go beyond a basic tutorial, really has to give them some skills that they need to understand Planetside 2 better. Okay, now let's take a look at the experience of LIRIK.
We're going to do some Planetside.
And one of the added benefits of him is he is a good first-person shooter player. It's going to be impossible for Planetside 2 to deliver a good experience in terms of killing other players to a person that's not good, right? And that's not Planetside 2's fault. It's an open world game, it's a sandbox, it doesn't have the option of matching potatoes with potatoes. Sorry, no offense meant to anyone. Those players either have to find something else in the game they like to keep them interested, or understandably it's not the game for them. But there are millions of players that are average to good first-person shooter players that can't get into this game. And those are ones that you want to find ways to grab. So I'm just letting the announcement chat roll by slowly here. You guys can see a couple of the issues that come up. First of all, Planetside 2 is extremely stream snipeable. Small streamer, not that big a deal. But you start going to bigger streamers, it's going to be next to impossible to play a game with hundreds of players that are in the game just to hunt you. Okay, let's take a look how it goes.
Boys, move out, boys! I need to get a car or some shit. Dude, this UI is so tiny.
1440p, 4K, and even 8K is coming. I have to imagine a UI that can scale will be a performance hog. And as I understand it, one of the big problems is all the icons on like your minimap are all made specifically for 1080p. So it seems like it would be a massive amount of work to recreate all those icons for 1440, 4K, etc. But man, not having UI support for 1440 or 4K really makes the game feel aged.
A flying vehicle. And let's go to the enemy base and fuck them up. We'll go to the Ascent.
Now he has the understanding to pull up a map, and he sort of gets that flying is the easiest way to get places. But he doesn't have the understanding to know he's on a nearly empty off-continent. The main one probably has a queue though, so he may not have a lot of options. But some players complain they have to walk 10 minutes to a fight. And that's a problem when it's not really obvious to new players on how to get right into the action.
The way you fly is so different from other games, so it's like really weird. I don't know how the way you turn is so different. Oh my god, yeah, I don't even fucking know. Oh my fucking god. This is so different.
Now, I don't see this as a bad thing. It's tough though, because people are either flying helicopter-ish type of vehicles, fixed wing type of vehicles, or space type of vehicles. None of them really compare to the VTOL that is the ESF and Planetside 2. So the controls feel super funky. Not to mention the acceleration that's on them, which feels weird on a mouse.
Oh, you can keep playing? Oh. I don't see... Oh, right there, SMR queue. Okay. Now let's wait, boy. SMR is the way to go, man. Especially if there's a queue, it's worth going.
New players already skip the population balance queue, but they can get hung up in the max population queue. I would love to see new players be able to make it onto the populated continent no matter what, even if it pushes that continent above the default maximum number.
Stay on Indar? Fine, I'll stay. Fine. I'm ending it.
Now, it did take him a bit to figure out where the fight was. He was trying to queue for Esmir, but finally just found the fight on Indar. But once I figured it out, you started to see the glory of Planetside. Pushing through the new conglomerate Sunderer, and then running across the land bridge between TI and the Crown. Always a fun battle to roll through. And this to me is part of the reason it's so important to, right off the bat, just let people go. Drop them right into the world. Don't over-curate the experience right from the start. When they are raw and in awe, let them get right into the action. See aircraft fly overhead, see the tracer fire, push through a field. That is the first experience you want a new player to have, not sitting through a tutorial. But when those experiences lead to endless deaths and it starts to get frustrating, that's when the game has to have a system where it pulls them back out and says, hey, here's some help. Here's a tutorial video. Here's a veteran group. Something like that can get them over that hump that is maybe an hour or two into the game. So it seemed like everyone was having a lot of fun, but this is one of the next things that comes up pretty early on in any new player's experience.
How the fuck does this game still lag? I feel FPS drops. I don't believe it. I actually feel an FPS drop. No fucking way.
I don't know how you solve this one. You've got aircraft overhead. I see at least 10 tanks on the minimap. You have a three-way battle. There's at minimum 150 people on the Crown. What, a big day for any other game is, hey, 20 people were within 50 meters of each other? So I don't know how you kindly beat new players over the head and explain that the experience they're having is completely unheard of in gaming,
anything, dude.
and it comes with some performance drops. And hey, dummy, you're on Ultra. So yeah, it's definitely something they have to find a way to get in front of with new players. I just don't know how you say or explain it to them.
I'll get you fixed up.
Thank you, man. Alright, boys, we out. I think I just yoinked this. What the fuck? Found my target.
Where Planetside did shine very well, and a lot of that was in thanks to the community members that hopped in to support them, was just the general chaos. Where you could be going from an infantry fight to hopping in a vehicle to hopping in an aircraft. Luckily, the aircraft are just showing up for him. Not that you can expect a new player to be able to pilot one, but still a fun kamikaze mission, I'm sure.
Alright, yo, dude, I want to go up there. Yo, someone pick me up and then fucking land me on that shit, alright? I might not be able to spawn on it, but I can land on it, right?
You know, it's tough right now. All the hype from the game is coming from things like Escalation, which brings the Bastion, or Enter the Colossus, which brings a new tank. But anyone that might come check out the game for those reasons really has very little chance to participate in them, at least when they're checking it out. Now, it's for good reason. Rogue Planet Games knows that players that join an outfit are more likely to stick with the game. So if you kind of leave these big cool things as a carrot to say, hey, join an outfit, and then you'll be able to actually get in one of these bastions, it might give them the nudge they need to actually join a community, and that community might be enough to make them stick with the game. At the same time,
Alright. We will man the guns.
when people do make it onto these things as newbies, or at least see them and see no way of actually getting into them or playing with them, they may not think, oh, I should join a group. They may just be like, yeah, this sucks, I'm out. So definitely some extra prompts in game that explains to players that they can participate in these things if they are in certain outfits. And again, major prop to the community that was helping them out, all members, and especially L-Way, B-Way here, who pulled the Bastion, offered to let him pull it, and was just trying to get him into the outfit and join in this Bastion adventure. Unfortunately, it's tough as a streamer because you have no idea if all the tells you're getting is just something that's going to be trolling you or not. And rapidly on stream, finding the outfit screen and then sifting through the outfits to find Elway is not easy for a person that doesn't already know the interface.
What the fuck? Holy shit. Oh, are you kidding me? The fucking harvester? Boys, he's coming back! What the fuck? Dude, oh my god. How many things that was like a triple run over.
So as well as the LIRIK Defense Force did, keeping him sheltered from some of the worst of the sniping, certainly by the end of the stream, you could see there were people that were very specifically gunning for him of both factions. And annoyingly, someone that had 1600 directive score actually went out and TK'd him. So not like some random troll that booted up the game just to go snipe him. Someone that is invested in the game enough to get some directive score. Overall, though, I think his stream absolutely showcased some of the epic fun things about Planetside. And hopefully most people can understand sort of where it devolved to at the end, where he was just getting run over and constantly destroyed. A lot of it can be attributed to a random new player just running into the middle of nowhere and dying a lot, not necessarily a flaw in the game. But it does give a lot of food for thought as to what they could do to try to shelter or improve the first hour or two for new players, especially ones that don't have a whole platoon supporting them. Millions of ideas have been kicked around, and multiple times Rogue Planet Games has said it was their top priority. It's a double-edged sword, though, because they also have to make sure they keep it interesting and they keep content for their veteran players going, so they maintain that population base that is kind of the staple of fights every day. I think most people can appreciate that new players are what would allow the game to grow, but existing players are what allows the game to continue. So they can only go after improving the new player experience as long as it doesn't severely handicap their ability to deliver more expansions, more content for the veteran players. Okay, fellow Auraxians, I know what I didn't dive into that much is actual suggestions, and that's because we've seen so many of them. I would be reiterating and repeating a lot. I do think it's worth continued discussion, but I don't want to highlight 5 here and forget 5 just as important ones. So we are going to carry this over to a podcast/stream a little bit later on, and we will hash out more ideas, try to collect as many as we can, and maybe some of those will make it into the game when the time is right. That'll be all for now, fellow Auraxians. Thank you again to all you members of the Cyrious Army. And everyone new, please make sure you've hit that subscribe button. Until next time, I will see you Planetside.